Good morning. I presume all of you are aware that last week a very important but unnoticed event took place in Toronto. This was the celebration of global citizenship. And the Chinese artist Ali Weiwei received the Global Citizenship Award, lauded for his widespread humanistic attitude and cultivation of global citizenship responsibility. Now, what is this globalized citizen? How does it differ from the citizenship of a country? Global citizenship does not imply that you have freedom to roam all over the world. I remember when I relocated from Mississauga to Innisfil, the local newspaper carried a one-page write-up on me, headline, Citizen of the world makes Innisfil his home. That did not mean that I did not remain a Canadian. That only meant that I was a person who had a Catholic overview, a helicopter view of the citizenship, of which is interconnectivity of the world as a whole. It's a concept, global citizenship, which has varied and different understandings. And the least of it, which is misunderstood, is that the argument that the privilege of global legal citizenship are inherently associated with national citizenship, and that's not a feature of the global citizenship. The British Prime Minister Theresa May, just recently said, if you believe you are a citizen of the world, you are a citizen of nowhere. You don't understand the meaning of the word citizen. And this is a misguided criticism. Global citizenship is a term that is oriented towards recognizing the interconnectedness of life, respecting cultural diversity, human rights, global social justice, and empathy with the suffering of the people around the world, seeing the world as others see it, feeling a sense of moral responsibility for Earth and its denizens. I should have said citizens, but looking to the objections of the people like Theresa May, I use the word denizen. Global citizenship normally involves three dimensions. The first dimension is awareness of self and others. I have always been saying that purely selfless work is no work. That is devoid of humanity. So the first is awareness of yourself and others, not less important. Second is responsibility. And the third is participation. The enlightened global citizenship understands that there doesn't have to be tension between the nationalistic sense of duty and moral obligation to the rest of the world. When I was a citizen of India, my prime duty was to protect my motherland there. And now when I'm a citizen of Canada, my first duty is to Canada. But being a citizen of India or Canada, or for that matter of any other country, does not preclude that I'm not involved in the suffering of the people at other places. Whether people suffer in Angola or in Timbuktu, whether the bomb destroys 300 people in Somalia, or the mass murderer mows down 59 people in Las Vegas, whether a bus kills 21 people in France, or nerve gas kills hundreds of people in Japan, each incident evokes the same feeling of a nausea for the perpetuator of the deed and for the victims, and a sympathy for them. You see, it's like that. You love your children, but that doesn't mean that you start hating the children of the other parents. No. The global leaders are often marked in old and tired way of competing for the resources of the planet, securing the welfare of the inhabitants and ecosystems. Now, when we talk of the ecosystem, as I've already said, there are no borders as far as the ecology is concerned, as far as the environment is concerned. So in case you are a global citizenship, and as you move towards a digital age, the sense of the national border becomes only confined to defense of your national borders, that's all. It does not mean being confined in a certain village. That frog in the well mentality has got to change, and that's why there is need to embrace a mindset that can ensure future sustainability of our planet and all the living forms. Now, you see, the point arises how to develop the global citizenship. And the global citizenship is not dealing with global commerce or what we call the globalization in trade. I'm amazed that till today people have talked of the globalization only in the terms of commerce and trade. The advent of artificial intelligence and the digital age provides us to have a global education. And this internationalization of education is the first step towards creating global citizenship. And internationalization policies and practices in higher education sector have to be motivated with a sense of feeling, belonging, and acting for the whole world universe. The literature of one country, how can you separate it from the pain and the misery and the happiness of the other country? It's a common. The commonality of human being is there. So there has to be the pressure, subsequent pressure on the universities and colleges is to ensure that they prepare the students for the future of a new world order, which will be geographically countries might be the same, but in fact their action shall be in totality covering the whole universe. I'm not saying only the planet. The day is not far off when we might be having interplanetary travel. And at that time, do you think if you are a small country or a big country would have any significance? The whole concept, the dimension of the concept would change. The university graduates are increasingly required by prospective employers today to have the so-called soft skills for working in the global environment. And that is why those soft skills are not something which are confined to the old concept of geographic countries. Now imagine we used to study geography as a set of atlases and maps and defining the boundaries. No longer. We today talk of the human geography. For example, there's a country, now let's see India and Pakistan. A red cliff line divides one part of India from the other part of Pakistan. But the habits, the culture, the language, they are identical. If a person strays from one part to the other part, he would find no difference except in the names. And they would also not materially different. So, what's required is what I the Japanese called Soka. Soka is value-creating education. This concept is not new. It was 1930s when Japan was on a high road to industrialization, expansion, increased militarism, and had global ambitions to become the global world. Its founder was Makiguchi, and he was vehemently opposed to the Japanese nationalistic education at that time, which was used for political indoctrination. And he came with the concept of value-creating education. And I find that this system of education can really make and create global citizens who have empathy for all. Again, I'm using the word empathy, not sympathy, because I always say that sympathy has a negative connotation. So cultivating a feeling of concern for the welfare of others is an extremely important part of education. Whether you study digital economy, human geography, quantum physics, or literature, it touches the living aspect of each and every human being. And when you have a feeling of concern, when you have a feeling of empathy, you find the thread of connectiveness. And that connectivity makes you a global citizen because you are a part of the others. It's just like that. You are individual, have your own identity, but you have a second identity as a member of a family, as a member of that social group to which you belong, to the community you belong. The fourth identity, the country to which you belong, and then the fifth identity as a global citizen. I do not see any conflict in any of these 5 different connectivities. And basically, I find them to be concentric circles. You are at the center of these concentric circles. And first is yourself, then your family, then your community, then your country, and then your global life. So well-being, happiness, and betterment of society are possible when you move a bit away from yourself and have a vision, which I always call a helicopter vision. Go ahead, go up, and then your vision would widen. There has to be competition. The global citizenship without competition is no global citizenship. Even Soka, while promoting the principles of peaceful and harmonious world, are non-aligned to the path politics, still they say that competition has to be there, but the shape of the competition would differ. The shape of the competition would be doing much better for the each individual, for the whole world. Who is performing better? That would be the competition, rather than who is cutting the throat better. So this competition, which is in a positive sense, would generate a new world order and the well-being of all, which is in the pair of 6, which is in Hinduism, which considers the whole world to be your own family. That is the part. The competition for survival is common to all species. And a major form of competition has changed over time from natural to social environment. Nations have variously used strategies of economics, military and political competition to maintain. Now, why can't we have a competition to maintain better care for the human beings? There has to be competition in the moral character that will evolve better international relations in other areas. I'm not saying don't have competition in military, have that. But the same thing can be used for the betterment of the purpose. The advent of artificial intelligence, I think, is a hallmark where this artificial intelligence can be used better for serving the people, the customer. One of my friends often sends me messages which I love. He gave a message of 3 P's, then 5 P's, which I'll discuss in one of the days. But I find that this global citizenship is a concept which is going to be the base of combining humanity and a conscious effort. So the event which took place in Toronto last week, I'm amazed such an event should go unnoticed, because these incidents, such events, herald a new world order that is geared to better human beings, better individuals, and all the better individuals combined make a better world. So there's a need today for global citizenship, which is not antithetical to national citizenship, but is complementary to that. And the harmonious survival of the planet Earth needs it today. The news of today morning, a shocking news, that the Chinese space station has failed and is heading towards Earth. It can hit any part of the Earth by the end of the year. It's not going to see whether the Chinese-made Earth station is going to hit States or the Horn of Africa or Australia or Europe. So the concern of the humanity is for the prospective damage rather than a critique or protection of self. When you don't know where the danger is going to be, it's better to protect the whole universe. It's better to be a global citizen. At the same time being a citizen of your country. As I said, there are no antithetical concepts. They complement each other. They support each other. Thank you.